All right, good morning. It is Wednesday morning, September 17th. No days off. What is it? 90, is it 97? Is it no days off 97? Let me take a look. I don't even keep track. So we have no days off, day 97. Wow. Anyway, here we are, back at it, another day. We got some training in store. I have a meal here. I have not trained yet, so we're getting ready to do that. And I have a meal here, so really looking forward to eating. I am hungry. I get a lot of questions / comments, both on Instagram and on YouTube, about my eating, specifically to a pre-workout meal or a post-workout meal. Do you train on an empty stomach? Do you train fasted? So more or less kind of on the pre-workout side of things. And my response to that is it all depends. But more importantly than it all depends is, again, I really don't think it matters much. Now listen, if you're into the science and you are, you're competing at a high level, and whatever it is, yes, pre-workout meal is probably going to benefit you. So some good, healthy, simple carbohydrates before you train, with some good absorbing, like some whey protein, some protein, even chicken. I think fish, it can be beneficial pre-workout, but kind of like your whey protein, a protein shake. Something like that. Maybe some healthy fats in the mix of all that. But more importantly, a quick absorbing protein and some good, healthy, simple carbohydrates, I think have a benefit. If you're looking to that, specific science and you're training for a specific reason, But I think overall, if you're eating consistently, it doesn't really matter. For most of us, we have busy lives. We work, we have kids, we have all this stuff going on, and sometimes just getting to the gym can be a feat in itself, given your schedule. And then adding a timed pre-workout meal, again, because timing it is part of it, right? So when you eat, is it half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour before you train? I mean, it's kind of all over the place. And for most of us, that's just an added thing to put into the schedule, especially when we're busy. When we got to get training, we got to get it in quick. You got to get to the gym. You're really not thinking about eating a meal, waiting. Some might. Listen, I get it. Some might, but for the most part, try not to overcomplicate it. If you're eating consistently throughout the day, and I think that's important. Right, so that's more important than a pre-workout meal. Putting so much focus on a pre-workout meal. But if you're eating consistently day to day, 4, 5, 6 meals a day, and you have a healthy combination of nutrients for your macros in your meals, and you're eating consistently throughout the day, and your body's adjusted to somewhat of a schedule of eating, I think you can train regardless of a pre-workout meal. Now, a post-workout meal, I think, is a little more important than a pre-workout meal, to be honest. So, as long as you're eating consistently, and that's kind of how I focus on my eating and my training, and when it comes to a pre-workout meal, 90% of the time I am training sleep fasted. So I'm getting up in the morning. I'm having as many of you kind of are following along know, I have my coffee. I have my pre-workout, then I get to the gym, and then I make it a point to have my post-workout meal. And whatever that might be all depends on how I feel, what I need, what the diet looks like, all that kind of stuff. But as far as a pre-workout meal, I get a lot of questions and comments about, do you train fasted? Do you have a pre-workout meal? How can you train on an empty stomach? Don't you need something in your body? And I just really think the body will adapt based on the consistency of how you're eating and when you're eating. I think that's important. So again, if you have a schedule of eating at least 4, 5, 6 meals a day, I think the body's going to adapt. And then obviously adding whatever you're training into that, the body, in my eyes, is going to adapt to reserve energy, to store energy, and kind of in a sense, instinctively, will prepare its own self for when you're in that, both getting your mind and physically ready, your mind and body ready to train. I think your body will respond to that when it needs to. And in essence, knowing when you're going to train and storing and utilizing the energy and nutrients for your training. So I really don't think it matters. I think, you should get a meal in if you have the time to do it, and if it's something that you think benefits you and it works for you, get a pre-workout meal in. But again, time being of the essence, and making sure you plan that out and have that ready to go. You definitely don't want to train on a heavy stomach, a full stomach, that kind of stuff. I even think training fasted is beneficial in the sense of both maintenance and for cutting. I think if you train fasted, just like doing cardio fasted, if you can adapt to that and store the energy, and again, if you're eating consistently throughout the day, you'll have the ability to tap into some good glycogen storage, get rid of some fat storage. Again, when you're not utilizing the food that's in your body, when you put it into your body pre-workout, and you're utilizing, rather than that, you're utilizing the fat storage and the glycogen storage and whatnot, and tapping into those areas and getting rid of that, so to speak, through training, through cardio. Obviously, there's a huge emphasis or talk about fasted cardio, and again, to tap into those reserves and get rid of the fat storage and glycogen storage. So anyway, a little long-winded, but anyway, we have a pre-workout meal, we'll call it, for today, because I have not trained yet. I just have some oatmeal. Again, I've added some oatmeal to the diet. Most days, not every day am I eating oatmeal. Yesterday I didn't have oatmeal. So I have some oatmeal, 4 tablespoons of peanut butter in there, and then I have 4 whole eggs here that I'm going to eat up, and we're going to get ready to train. So stay tuned for not only the training, but also after the training. I'm going to spend a little bit of time going through some more questions and comments that have come in, even some newer ones, maybe some older ones. I know I've been not so consistent with the Q&A, and getting a lot of great questions and comments on the channel. So stay tuned for that. That'll be a post-workout wrap-up Q&A type deal. But outside of that, we're going to eat and get ready to train today. So we'll see you guys in just a little bit.
Let's go. 3 more. Come on, finish. One.
Alright guys, just wrapped up a really good workout today. You'll see in the video, today was a lower power day for me. All my lower days aren't necessarily leg day specific. I really like to utilize power movements. Just from my experience of powerlifting, I just really enjoy those movements. And the overall goal for me on a lower day, slash let's call it a leg day, whatever, is really about power and explosiveness and just just kind of that powerlifting base type split is when I do a lower day. I do have obviously leg specific days, but the separation that I put in that is, leg days I look at more of like your quad specific, hamstring specific, calves, I don't do calves a lot, or at all. I probably should. But anyway, I really don't consider these quad and hamstring dominant type workouts. I kind of look at the lower workouts as kind of the lower body in its entirety and really kind of focusing on power movements. So you'll see a lot of leg days or lower power days, what I call them, where it's a lot of power movements, and today was just that. So great lift today, had a lot of fun working. It was definitely a good one. I started out with a great variation in the Smith machine. I did a leg press variation. Obviously I do not have your traditional leg press, and I've used this before where I turn the Smith machine into almost kind of a vertical or 90-degree leg press. I used to use a vertical / 90-degree type of leg press where you're literally sitting underneath the leg press. I used to use one of those machines at an old Gold's Gym that I went to, and I really like the movement. I love leg press in general, more your 45-degree, I think, or your traditional leg press where it's not at 90. So I really like the leg press, and unfortunately I don't have a leg press, so I turned the Smith machine into that. And it really is a great movement for me. Obviously, it's a great warm-up. Fills my legs up full of blood, gets my hips stretched out really good. I have such poor hip mobility and hip strength that doing movements like this where it really forces me to stretch out the hips, again with the range of motion, really helps stretch them out and get everything firing and get a lot of blood in the lower body. So I started out with those. You'll see that in the video. Really cool there. From there I moved over into a belt squat variation, another variation where I don't have a belt squat machine. So I just used my dip belt, put some 45s on there and perform a belt squat. Those felt really good. And then from there I moved into a great variation where I use my dip rack, the dip rack that's outside, and I use a reverse band deadlift variation. And what that does is it really stretches the bands out at a decent length to where it's taking off a good amount of weight at the bottom, but giving me a lot of the weight at the top. And today's goal of doing that was to keep the central nervous system firing at the top of the lift rather than at the bottom. And again, that's the concept of a reverse band variation for your squat, your deadlift, your bench, is really to take weight off at the bottom of the lift and give you a lot of the weight at the top of the lift. And I was very happy with that. I worked up to 725 for a single. I did use straps today for it. And again, just to overload the top end, the lockout strength of my deadlift today. So that went really well. I had a lot of fun doing those and definitely pushed myself for that. And then from there I finished the workout up with some hip thrust variation out of the Smith machine. Those were a little difficult. That Smith machine's heavy, and just the setup, getting it off the rack, rolling the bar off so getting the hooks off of the rack, just made it a bit difficult. But it definitely got a lot of blood in my glutes, my hamstrings. They were full. But again, I have not done that in quite some time, so I figured I'd put those in the lift today. So overall, just a solid workout. Very pleased with it. So with that, guys, like I said earlier, I'm going to jump into some questions. Try to get to a few older ones here that have come in. So let's jump right into it. Got the first one coming in from Thomas Ferrier. Just says, what time do you go to bed? So obviously, this is a comment that comes in on my really early workouts, which happen anywhere between 2 and 3 a.m. And on those days, and the majority of days regardless, although today was a little bit later, so I was able to catch up on some sleep. On those days, I am getting to bed before 9 o'clock, and I average anywhere between 4.5 to 6 hours, let's say, and that works really well for me. I operate pretty well on that amount of sleep, and then again, like today, I was able to catch up onto that. So just because I had a later workout, and which my work schedule is allowed, and today was a little bit more sleep, so I caught up on some sleep. But on my early lifts, which happen anywhere between 2 and 3 a.m., I'm getting anywhere from 4.5
let's say, 5.5, 6 hours of sleep. So shout out to you, appreciate the question. Here's one from Derek Hobbs, 8842. Just says, how many hours of sleep and when do you get up? So again, all depends. 4.5 to 5.5, 6 hours of sleep, and I try to get up anywhere between 1:45 and 2 o'clock. On my early days, again, it depends on my schedule. And in that time, again, I train for a couple hours. I have to get my meals ready, and I try to get all that done before I get the kids up and ready to go to school, and then, of course, my day begins. So, appreciate the question. Next one here, coming in from GWAUR44. How does the rest of the house feel about the vacuum at 2 a.m.? Laugh out loud. So, this was on a life before 5 o'clock, 5 a.m. video I did very recently. Check out that video. The family sleeps well. They're accustomed to me moving around so early. The gym downstairs in the basement is pretty quiet. It's pretty insulated, so to speak. So they sleep pretty well. I get no complaints. I do try my best, although I get into tunnel vision a little bit in the morning, getting stuff done. It's kind of in my eyes, the best time of the day to get stuff done, right, including the workout. So I get in touch, but I try my best to make sure that they're okay. But everybody seems to sleep pretty well through my madness in the morning. So appreciate the question. Shout out to you. Another one here from let's see here, Afro Ninja 007 just says, how much does your hex bar weigh? So that trap bar weighs 45 pounds. It is the equivalent to your traditional barbell. So that one weighs 45 pounds. I've seen them at 55. I've seen them at 65. All depends on the size and how much really the length of the, let's call them the collars, is of how many plates you can put on it. This one says it's rated for 500 pounds, but I've had more on that. And I think that really just goes to how many plates you can actually put on it. As far as what it's rated for, that thing is not going to bend. It's definitely a heavy piece of equipment and well put together. So appreciate the question. Shout out to you for that. Let's see here. Another one from Tiger FC8QO. What is the purpose of those blue straps around the biceps? So again, the BFR straps I put around my arm with very, 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 very light compression restriction, just to keep a good amount of blood in the arm, just for overall, again, as I said in the video before, just enough restriction to keep enough blood in the arm to help with any kind of discomfort, keeping the arms, kind of pumped a little bit, keeping everything kind of lubricated to some degree. Just something I like to do to keep things healthy, keep any discomfort out of there while lifting, and I really like using them. So appreciate that. Shout out to you for that. Let's see here. I got another one from Chef Goldblum 3295. Just says, do you ever get persistent shoulder pain from your heavy pressing? If so, how do you deal with it? Love your channel, man. Keep killing it. So no, I don't get any persistent shoulder pain. I try, as I said before, for me, hitting recovery workouts, especially a post heavy pressing day. So doing a lot of light front raises, with bands, doing scarecrow movements, laterals, rear delts, reverse pec deck, face pulls. A lot of those movements are huge to help with recovery for your shoulders, and very important for strengthening all the small muscles around your shoulders. Again, which then help alleviate all the internal mechanisms like your rotator cuff, right? So if you strengthen all those muscles around with, lightweight, a lot of reps, get a lot of blood in those areas, you can really try to alleviate a lot of it. And I really do. I think my shoulder health is really because of the recovery workouts that I do. So appreciate the question, but no, I do not. I don't have any shoulder issues. Let's see here. Got another one here from Duet Shanlin 82. Just says, do you have anything else in life? Why am I even seeing this shit? It's the same shit every day, as if there was nothing more important in life than muscles and food. Hey, listen, everybody's got their own opinion on the lifestyle. For me, it's a lot more than just what this comment is. Listen, training is something I love to do. And again, I put this stuff out there, again, number one, to just kind of talk about the love and passion and show the love and passion. Also, the consistency of training and what that means. That's why I show, kind of the, let's call it the day in the life. This is my life. This is what I do. This is, I train, at crazy hours. Some may think they're crazy hours in the morning. But I do that, and I have this routine in place and balance, so I don't take away from all the other amazing things in life. I have to work. I have 2 kids that are very active in sports. My beautiful girlfriend, I love her to death. She's such a huge supporter of all this, and even a part of it, which is just amazing. But again, I create this and I share this, not only share the love and passion to train, but also for all those people out there that have full-time jobs and kids and, husbands and wives and all that kind of stuff. If you love to do this, you always find time to do it. And the time that you find to do it should never take away from the more important things in life. Training can be a very selfish thing. It really can. If I was to go to work all day, then train for 2 hours in the afternoon, I'd miss so much. I'd miss dinners, and I'd miss practices and games, and I have to figure that out. And because I love to do this, sometimes it's sacrificing some sleep, or it's just figuring out when to do it. Yesterday was a good example. Trained really early in the morning, got a back workout done, and had to get the kids up. They had a day of school. We had to get them ready, my meals and stuff, of course. And then on lunch, I had break, had a half an hour. Again, got a nice little workout in on a half an hour lunch break. And again, the pushing that message that if you figure it out, you can get it done. There's so many of us out there, especially all those following along and subscribe, that just love to train. And I think some people struggle with finding that balance. So it's something that we want to, that I'm trying to put out there, that you can figure it out. There's so many different times. 24 hours is a lot of time, and if you're going to train, it's can take up some of that time, but training should never override the other important things in life. So either way, appreciate the comment / question. Let's see here, another one from Fahim, sorry, 454. What's the weather type in your location? So right now we're coming to an end of summertime, and fall is literally just around the corner. And we're having some great weather right now. The last, I would say, week or so has been beautiful. Great weather, 70s, 75, clear skies, a little cloudy today, but just some beautiful weather right now. And hopefully it stays pretty consistent. The colder months are definitely heading our way. But I love the fall time. It's a beautiful time in my area with the fall foliage and everything. We'll obviously get some training done in the outside gym and enjoy those beautiful days. But the weather right here is great right now, and appreciate the question. Let's see here. I'll try to get to one more. All right, so the last one here, coming in just a day ago from Cyclops. 1983, just says, thanks for another video. Did you do anything to preserve your knee health, or are you just lucky with the genetics? I'm 41 and my knees are shot. I've been, I would say, not lucky. I haven't had any knee issues. I obviously played sports all my younger days. College football, high school football was big for me. My knees stayed healthy. And then training, never had any issues with my knees training. Just been kind of fortunate for that. But at the same time, I would have to say what has benefited my knee health with the amount of training that I've done for almost 30 years, has been using a wide stance squat. I could definitely say that if I was to, I used to be a close stance squatter for the longest time. And then having weak hips, being a close stance squatter, having weak hips was just a tough thing for me. And what happens for me with weak hips, when I was a close stance squatter, was I would always fall forward in the bottom of the lift, turning the lift into more of a good morning, the squat. So years ago, I shifted over to a wide stance squat, and being a power lifter and being a power lifter that used equipment, so powerlifting gear, squat suit, having a wide stance squat, and you'll see a lot of the West Side guys, Louis Simmons and the crew, they use wide stance squatting, and what the wide stance squat does is it creates more of a hamstring dominant squat than a quad dominant squat. Close stance squatting is a quad dominant movement. So a lot of Olympic lifting, any close stance squatting that you see becomes more of a quad dominant movement. And being close stance using a close stance squat, being quad dominant, over years of doing that, especially sinking in the hole, dropping down, all that kind of stuff, being quad dominant will put a ton of stress on your knees, because the quads are obviously, in that movement, being close stance, is really focusing or hitting the quads, pulling on the knees in that movement and causing knee problems. You'll see a lot of close stance squatters, Olympic lifters, different lifters that close squat, you'll see a lot of them may have some knee problems over the years. So using a wide stance squat, which I attribute a lot of my non-knee issues to, is being wide stance, it turns the movement into a hamstring dominant movement. So you're really sitting back in a wide stance, putting a lot of pressure on, obviously, your hamstrings, your glutes. Your hips become very important as well, staying tight and bracing for your hips. But what it does is it turns the movement into a hamstring dominant, where you're actually, in some essence, the way Louis Simmons kind of explains this from a West Side standpoint, is being in that stance, you're almost curling the weight. You're almost curling the movement. When you come up, you're almost curling the floor. You're spreading the floor. You're curling the floor using your hamstrings. And that has played a huge role in keeping my knees healthy for sure, is going to a wide stance squat. So if you're having knee issues, also using a box will really help too. I think that plays a big role. But again, a wide stance, so maybe shifting out, or even if you're a close stance squatter, if you point your toes a little bit as well, you'll take some stress off of that. Rather than keeping them straight. I always have to have my toes pointed, especially where I'm kind of positioned with my stance. Obviously sitting back on my heels. That's another thing too, is making sure that you're pushing through the floor with your heels and not the balls of your feet, which then help obviously alleviate some knee issues and put some of that movement into the posterior chain. So again, there's a lot of different things, but I think moving into a wide stance was a great decision for me when it came to keeping my knees. My knees feel great. I have no knee issues. And I think the wide stance has really helped that. I know it has. I know it has. And squatting in a squat suit, a lot of those squat suits, the way that they're cut, the way that they're made, is they're made for a wide stance, or having your feet kind of adjusted in a wide, because you want to sit back, spread the floor type movement. And when you're in a wide stance, that helps you do that, and it helps with the range of motion when using a squat suit with a wider stance. So that's my long-winded response to that, Cyclops. And with that, guys, I'm going to finish up this cardio, and we'll see you for the next workout.